thing we're gonna do is actually put the exhaust back up. So basically what I need to do is get this over me. I'm gonna like put it on my back. We need to get that plate under that tranny stand. So let's see if we can just deadlift it straight up. All right, I don't know how the hell I just did that. I did lose my glasses. I did it all in blind. Yep. Oh. All right, now let's get this thing lined up. So now I need to move forward. Stop right there. Yep. So we did put new exhaust gaskets up here. I don't know if we got that on film. All right. So we gotta get over these studs. I got that side somehow. Can we get up on the, yeah, a little bit more now? Oh, I can actually get one on here. All right, so that one should help us hold it at least. We did all new hardware up here. I would strongly advise you do the same. So there's that little bracket right there in the middle, and we might have to just undo that to give them some kind of like individual movement ability. So that's gonna hold up now. Let's try to get this one lined up. I don't know why it's not.
You're like on a lift?
No, it just needs to go this way more.
Why not right there?
It's on this one, just not the top one. Oh, you know what you can do? You go to the center and just jack the whole thing up. That's gonna level it out nicely. Okay, now we're looking more like where we need to be.
You got it?
Yep. Yeah, I'm holding it there.
It needs to go right or left?
It needs to go left. Left side is perfectly on, the right side is like twisted. What happens if you go to the mufflers and just turn them? Like try to go like this. Oh, like that. That's it. Yep, go forward. Can you drive it in at all?
No.
The exhaust gasket wasn't fully seated back, that's why. Oh yeah, that's what our problem was. We're idiots. Yeah, she's gone. I can catch a thread with these bolts. We're in business. Oh, wait, I think we got it. Hold on. Yeah, we got it. We just didn't slide that exhaust gasket back enough. It's all right, we'll pull it together now, little by little on each side. So we're just gonna draw this in over that exhaust gasket. That's where we goof, but this is working actually perfectly fine. There's no like resistance or anything. It just needs to be slid up and the exhaust is doing it without a problem. We get the other two bolts in. Again, we replaced this stud here so we know that we did it right because it lined up perfectly. So one new stud, 3 old studs, but all new bolts and all new nuts as well. So I'm gonna go until all of these bolts are tight, and then we're gonna go back and do the nuts. Only the inside ones have exhaust gaskets. Outside ones are like compression set. I'm just using 1/4 inch, so I'm not putting a ton of torque on this right from the beginning. Now our nuts are going on without any issue, which is awesome. Draw this in a little more. Draw that in a little bit. We're not gonna go too tight with anything. We're just gonna make sure that everything's in place, and then we're gonna mount the center mount on this exhaust. Actually, before we do the center mount, we're gonna go put those heat shields in. That's really important to do now. Just because that one 13 mil that was like poking out, that was preventing us from removing it without taking the entire exhaust out. So let's actually go put those heat shields in now. So at this point, we can actually still put this heat shield up over the exhaust and get a tool on here. I think it was a 13 mil to tighten it up, because before when we were removing it, it just wasn't worth it with the way that everything was like lining up, and I said that I'd put it back together like this. So this is how we're gonna put it back together. Probably just lower that just a little bit so I can get the heat shields physically up there, and then we're gonna mount everything first with these bushings or exhaust hangers. We don't use those hangers, but that's actually what's holding these heat shields up. So we're gonna get those up and into place, and then actually no, before we mount them, we have to mount them to the exhaust. So we're gonna do that first. There was one bolt that was stripped. I mentioned I was gonna replace. So here's that cross-threaded one we removed, and we did get a brand new one, and then here's our good one. So this one can go in the trash. So I just lowered the transmission jack, and I'm trying to quickly figure out which way these are gonna go. From how it looks, it's gonna go this way. So we're gonna take this and put it over here. It does get like behind the bumper. Right there. Okay. And then right here is where this was threaded through. So they took one of these, threaded it through this hole. Honestly, it might be the nut that's cross-threaded, and that's why that bolt is cross-threaded. Let me try the other side and see if there's any difference going on over there. You might have to tap that exhaust bolt. I'm gonna go this way. Being careful for the diffuser. Okay, get it up and out of your way. Here. All right, now drop it back down. Grab that bolt. Go through that nut. Yeah, and this one's going right in. So I don't want to strip this new bolt. We bought it to prevent it. Oh, actually that nut has like no threads in it, so we're definitely gonna have to tap it. I don't know if we can get a look on that. So I think that's the best view we can get, but there's just no thread inside there. If I turn this like this, it'll just like catch and then nothing. So we're gonna quickly get the tap kit out. So it's a M8 by 1 1/4. We're just gonna spray a little bit of 40. Start tapping. So I'm gonna go until I feel some resistance. Oh, so every couple turns, go back, collect the stuff you cut. So right here I'm getting a lot of resistance, but that's because I'm coming through. I'm gonna start a flashlight dropping counter.
You'd have compilations for hours.
I lost my flashlight privileges. Okay, I like to go through a decent amount and make sure that thread is nice. If you just go to the point where it's cut and you go through, sometimes you realize it didn't really work out that well. Just gonna take it back. Oh yeah, a lot of stuff came out of that. Now what we're gonna do, take this guy, put it right back up. Get that through there. All right, I think this was what, a 13th? No? All right, beautiful. So we're able to repair that thread instead of, you know, screwing it up or reusing the old one. I'm happy about that. Cool. And then this side was going in fine. Real quick. And one quick thing I'm just realizing before I actually put these up to mount them, I cleaned up everything inside the car and around the diff, except I completely spaced about the exhaust. So I just don't want to leave that there just for someone to find later and be like, is the diff leaking or something? So we're just gonna take a brush quick and some rags and just clean it up the best we can while it's in the car. So real quick, just gonna take a wire brush, get all that heavy gunk off, that road grime, all the stuff I don't want to waste all my chemicals on. And this is what creates that like smell that something's leaking on the car. It's like the little stuff like this where it's constantly leaking and then it kind of builds up, and when the exhaust gets hot, you'll start smelling it and you'll get out of the car and be like, why the hell does it smell? I just got all that work done. So I make it a point, especially on exhausts, to clean them up of any old oil type residue. Some of this is really wet. You can tell that diff was definitely leaking. That should be good for what I just did. I'm just gonna get some rags now, spray some brake clean on, and then just wipe them down now. And at this point, it should be clean enough that any leftover residue should just burn off. So let's get back to it. So the next thing we're gonna do is actually bolt up these rear brackets with this hanger. I mean, only one hanger is being used because there's a muffler delete, but if you guys have your mufflers, obviously you'd be using all 3 hangers. But they kind of need to be aligned as they go up, so Justin's gonna use the tranny jack and actually slowly get this up for me while I align everything, and then we're gonna put all the nuts on and just tighten it. So not too crazy, but I'm gonna involve some thought. So you can start jacking it at any point. We're all set with like clearing the bumper. You can get up there, we've got some room. You need to go right a little bit. Yep, go up. No. Okay, stop. Alright, let's try that. Let me get this one first. This one next. That one. I'm gonna use the extension and the ratchet to get them up because there's a significant amount of the piece that it goes onto that's not threaded before you actually can catch the thread. Okay, next we're gonna do this one. Alright, next we're gonna do these 2 in the corner. For some reason I have the hardware that I pulled out, I didn't notice until just now. There's 12, obviously. 2 of them are different, so I'm just gonna put those 2 different ones here. Okay, got it. Okay. There we go. Alright, so I think I ran out of room on those. Extension's not long enough, so I just have to put it on there first and then just lightly grab it from here. Yeah, that works. Okay, cool. I'm using a wobble extension, so that's helping that work out for me. I'm gonna go back over, make sure these are all tight. We're not gonna spec these, we're just going tight. Alright, that's one side done. Now we're gonna move over to the other. Same exact thing we just did. For some reason, this side's a little screwed up right here. Justin, can you lower it a little bit? Alright, yep. Perfect. You're good, I got them all, I think. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go to the center mount and get the center mount back in place, and then we're just gonna go do all the stupid ones like the O2 sensors and the little brackets that hold up the flash shield underneath the car. So now is the part where we actually mount it to the car. So we have these 13mm ones here. One of these was stripped. We did order a new one, but we were sent the wrong bolt. So it's like stripped weirdly in the middle. We're gonna try to chase it through. That one's going in nicely. Finish this one off like this. Okay, when I hear that noise, I stop. Let's see how this one's going in. I'm like barely hitting this trigger, and that's how I'm getting feel for it. Okay, that one's clutching, so we'll stop. Okay, and then this one over here, I'm gonna start by hand and see if we can just chase our own thread. Oh, actually it's working out. Some clutching. There is something going on with this bolt. But it doesn't feel that bad with the ratchet. I think we can send it in. Not gonna do that. So it is chasing it out, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the bolt that we bought in, even though it's shorter, these threads are super long and I don't think they need to be. I have it right here, and what sucks it is like half the size, but it's apparently supposed to be the one that's supposed to be in here. You know what, we're gonna tap that one I just put that one into, and we're gonna try to hit a die on this bolt and fix it, because I don't want to mismatch bolts on this thing to clean a car. So I'm sitting in the weird little chair. I'm gonna just take this tap right here, or die. It's an M8 by 1 1/4. I'm gonna lock it into place. Now I'm gonna be a bit of a savage about this. I'm sorry for those of you who are gonna definitely have something to say about what I'm about to do. That's how you re-thread a bolt the cool way. All right, so now we're gonna just go make sure that this thread is okay, because I did get a couple weird grinds into it. So we're just gonna chase it a bit. Hopefully it was just that. Bolt feels okay so far. Yeah, I think we're good. Nothing came out of that one. Now we're gonna put this back in. And if you ever said that doing what I just did with the impact gun and the die doesn't work, I beg to differ. Now we did that with an impact. Again, we're not gonna torch these up. We're just gonna get them hand snug. All right, so now we can drop our transmission jack because our exhaust is fully up, and we can go and tie up all these O2 sensors and all the other scary nonsense that we forgot about up front. So we're gonna take our rear O2s and put them back in these little brackets on the heat shield. And then over here, there was 2 O2 sensors that were marked with white paint. So we're just gonna put those back together. They fit together only one way anyways, from what I remember. I don't think it's that big a deal, but just plug them all in. All right, and now that they're all plugged in, we're gonna go get those brackets and actually bolt them back up to the car. So now we're gonna put these guys back in. There's a little gasket to where they chill at. This is gonna go like this. Behind there, there's a little clip thing in the center. And like that. Oh, you know what I did? Put it on backwards. So like this.
You goof.
You goof. Hey, 50-50 shot is always wrong. Like that. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Cool. So it's like offset. The little openings right here are gonna face towards the rear if you're running into the same issue that I just ran into. I didn't pay that much attention when I took it apart. So if you guys didn't, there's your answer. Okay, these don't go crazy tight. Don't over torque these, it's just plastic. You will wreck them. All right, let's go do the other side. I'm gonna do this one first. And then pull this right to the center. Just like that. Knock this back up. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Cool. All right, so the next thing we're gonna go back to is actually our little bracket here. So we're gonna put this bracket back here. I'm just gonna get the threads going into here first. And then these bolts go back through here, going through both brackets. And then you got your 13mm nut in the back. Tighten these up first, like that. Okay, and then these I'm just gonna try to get in as far as I can with my hands because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to do this with a wrench. Sometimes you just gotta get to the hard parts with the wrench and then you can get back to doing it with your fingers. It's gonna come forward a lot from what I can tell right now. This one's going, but this one's to kind of guide it, so I'll turn this one by hand while I turn this one with the wrench. Perfect. All right, we're all set there. I'm gonna get the 12mm back on the wrench and we're gonna go and finally torque up our front exhaust mounting bolts. So now we're gonna go and tighten these up a final time. So I'm using a 1/4 inch, so that, or 3/8, but I'm using a 1/4 inch. So if I get to a point where it gets too much resistance, hopefully I break the extension. Not that I want to get there, but that's kind of my mentality behind it. Rather than break that than one of those studs. Okay. Kind of go here, go there, go here, go there. Swap until I feel like I got them on enough. There probably is a torque spec, but I actually couldn't find it on my stuff, so we're just gonna work it out this way. That one feels really good because it's brand new. It's like cutting in really nice. Okay, back to this one. Get these. Those are done. Yep. Let's do what's left on these. That one's creaking, so that one's done. That one's done. All right, other side, same gig. Okay, these bolts. Okay, these run out of thread eventually, so don't push those any further than they have to go. Like once they stop feeling comfortable, you're probably out of thread. These you can swap back and forth until they both kind of start creaking. Like that feels tight there. Okay. Okay, so we're all set there. So next we're gonna put our brackets back up for our skid plate, and that's these little 10mm. They are labeled left and right, so that at least is done for you. Okay, so like that. Try not to get a socket in your mouth like I almost just did. And then it's gonna go like this over here. This might need to be adjusted later, but also like you can just bend this. It's not that big a deal. I think that's kind of why they make it so flexible, so that it's just kind of sitting up there relatively and then you can make it fit, right? So now that we did this, we're completely done with the exhaust, but me and Justin did realize at one point that we had 2 exhaust hangers that were sitting behind a set of wheels for this car. And when we were putting the hangers on in the rear, we missed those 2 outer ones. Remember I needed like a lot of room on my 13mm. I had to pull it off and like use the wobble on the socket. That was actually because I forgot the hangers there. The hangers aren't used, so they're not important, but what they do is they give the space that we need. So we're actually gonna go take those off and just put them back on with the hangers. All right, so I gotta get these back off. So get the socket on first, then the swivel, wobble extension, and then honestly go like this to get it off. So we did this on both sides. Okay. Supposed to go up against like this like crease that holds it in place, but it's no longer there. Like that. Okay. All right, let's go to the other side. So looking at the hanger, the orientation would matter to you where it mounts if you were actually using it. So they only are one way because it is offset. But since it is not something we're using, I'm just putting it up whatever way. I think on that side, I offset it forward. I don't even know if that's right or wrong or what. And again, it doesn't matter. So we're just gonna match them up. We'll offset this one forward. We're literally just using it as a spacer at this point just to hold this heat shield up so it doesn't make a ton of noise. Otherwise, this serves absolutely no purpose. There we go. All right, so it might have been smarter in hindsight to put this on prior to doing the exhaust, but luckily we're not beat by it. That would be tragic. So we're gonna do the sway bar quick. Put this behind here. The only place you're really fighting to get this thing in place is around the brake hoses. So what we're gonna do is get this lined up with the top bracket where it kind of sticks into the subframe on both sides at the same time, ideally. And then bend it down, and then we're just gonna take the bolt. I think the nut goes on the backside. So put the bolt through, and get a couple turns on that nut. No, please hold it. And that's all you wanna do at this moment, just hold it in place. See, like this one's already hitting the brake again, the brake hose. All right, perfect. So just like that, we're gonna take our end links and then bring them back up. This is where you're gonna actually get your adjustment over here. So take your new nut, put it on. And normally when I do this, I make sure that everything's loose. And then I'm gonna tighten the inside nuts and bolts first, and then we're gonna go do the end link nuts. But I still connect everything first to at least get the right height. This doesn't have to be done under load for any reason. And I have old nuts I'm just gonna get rid of them. So let me go get my 13s. I have one here, but I need to go get another one. And we'll get these tight. So we're gonna tighten these inner ones first, 2 13s. Okay, so that's your switch. Because I have more room to ratchet on the back. All right. And then on the rear stabilizer bar with this 13mm, there is a spec, but you're gonna overdo it with your hands. So I really just think that's more than good. Just get it nice and tight with the 2 of them and leave it alone. Not worth taking a torque wrench to it. And do the same thing with the other side. You'll see what I'm talking about, where it just nicely sits still and I can just get another quarter turn on it. Something cool. Counter hold it there. And that's it. You're gonna take a 16 mil, put it on the back side of that end link. And then on the front side, probably in front of this brake hose, which is perpetually gonna be in your way. Tighten that up. It out. Let's go do the other side. Let's get this guy right in the spot. Go behind the brake hose. That's what worked for me over there. And then keep in mind, we do have brand new end links. That is one thing we replaced back here. All right, and these we are gonna spec out. Excuse me, I think I'm getting sick, my voice is cracking. We're gonna find the spec for them just because with sway bar end links, I kind of like to know where they're supposed to be. But usually just tight is enough. I don't think you're gonna go 65 or anything like that, but doesn't have to check. All right, so I literally just said how these wouldn't be 65 newton meters, and then when I went to go look it up, they literally are 65 newton meters. Okay, let's go to the other one. All right, we're just gonna leave it just like that. So now we're gonna do our exhaust torsion bars. First thing we're gonna do is remove these 2 bolts. Now that we have the entire exhaust held up, just removing one side isn't an issue, just don't go removing them all. This piece right here goes back on your front mounts of your rear subframe. Right here, it's right behind the fuel tank. And then you wanna hold that, line up your front bolts, hand start these guys. Make sure you definitely get them in place before you do anything else. Okay, you have these long bolts back here. They're like only threaded just on the end. And they go right into the center of those bolts that hold your rear subframe up. And then once you got them all in, you're just gonna dive them in. Just gonna wait until my gun tucks a little bit. We're gonna go do the other side. Okay, find that rear mount, find your front. Be careful, it just feels like this slide around on you. That one's in. We'll do the rear one just to hold it in place. I can let go of it. This front one, for some reason, I'm having trouble finding. All right, there we go. Now put it in until it chucks. The back, and then we're gonna torque them by hand. All right, nice and tight, nice and tight. Perfect, 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 perfect. All right, so that's it for those. Next thing we're gonna do is actually get out of here completely and do our brakes.